How y'all doing? Once again, it's that time again to get real with Ronald E. Smith. And my guest today, I say she's a film critic, but if I tell you what she's done and the things that she's been up to, you be looking like, where in the world did she ever find the time to breathe? She's a member of the Hollywood Critics Association, Latino Entertainment Journalists Association, Online Association of Female Critics Association, and an assistant editor of the In Their Own League website. And oh yeah, I don't know if I brought this up. She's a co-founder of the Latinx Lens podcast. All that, you'd be like, what in the world? Did she have time to sleep? But I'll allow her to tell you. My guest, Rosa Para. How are you doing?
Oh my God, what an intro. Thank you so much. Doing very good. Thank you.
So that's so great to hear it, and as everyone knows on Getting Real, our whole thing is we look to sit down with hardworking individuals, sit down, get to know them better, and just let them speak about the journey they've been on and where they hope to be in the future. And today of all days is Rosa's day. So let's enjoy this and have fun with this. As I said before, you have gone so much as a film critic, but you're more than that. Everyone's journey starts somewhere else. So let's just begin at the beginning. Before you were what you are now, who was Rosa growing up?
Oh, wow. Rosa, she's a little brown girl from East LA. She's a Chicana. And yeah, she's always been an athlete. She's been a fan of sports, and growing up in an environment like East LA, my mother made sure I stayed busy, and I was actively busy on in extracurricular activities because the neighborhood wasn't the best. And that's when I got into a lot of sports. I'm a big soccer fan. I wanted to play professional soccer.
Oh, really now?
Oh, yes.
What's
Oh
the
my
team?
God, I love
What's
it.
the teams you follow?
Well, at the moment, I don't follow it as much, but I am a huge fan of the World Cup. So
Okay.
the cups before, like, to qualify for the World Cup, I'm always into that, like the Gold Cup, and then La Copa America from South America, and yeah, so. Yeah, I'm very into World Cup. Growing up, I was really into soccer for La Liga Mexicana, which is the Mexican League soccer. And now I don't follow it as much as I used to, but I love it. I love soccer, and I grew up just playing it. And eventually I will grow up, and my interests will go elsewhere. And I became interested in the medical field. I wanted to grow up and be a nurse, be a registered nurse. So, of course, being someone who comes from the barrio, so the neighborhood, my education level wasn't the best. I had to go to community college, build up my courses, and do get my associates, and then hopefully then I'd be able to go to university and get my bachelor's.
I just wanted to go back on, you wanted to become a nurse,
Mm-hmm.
so I just want to know, like, from that, like, where did that idea come from? Like, when did you ever say to yourself, like, yeah, this is something I can see myself doing?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm the only child. So for my entire life, it was just me and my mother. And she was a very sickly woman. So I wanted to have the quality, I wanted to have the expertise and the knowledge to take care of her.
Did that idea come to you in high school, junior high, middle school?
Uh, it was probably during high school. Yeah, while I was playing sports and staying busy. My mother, she had epilepsy, and she was diabetic. She had high blood pressure, and Yeah, she had a lot of diseases. So I decided I wanted to, if I was gonna provide for her and care for her, I wanted to be qualified to do it. So that's when I decided I wanted to become a nurse.
Now, now
Yeah,
during that whole time when you were, you
yeah.
fully decided for yourself, I wanted to do this,
Mm-hmm.
and you just said that you had to build that, you build your credit up to go from, to go to community college. So like,
Yeah.
how was college for you, for yourself, trying to get through those early times just to get to where you want?
Yeah. It was difficult. It was difficult in many ways because, well, um, I am. Yeah, I'm gonna add more to the resume. I'm a mother of 4 kids. I have 4 daughters, and my oldest daughter, I had her when I was 16, so I had her in high school. Um, so it was very difficult. When I say it was difficult, it was very difficult to go to college, and it was even difficult to obtain my high school diploma because I dropped out on my senior year. I dropped out of the first half of the year because of my morning sickness and everything that was going on. um, and I was a bright little girl. I was taking all these AP courses, all these honors courses, and I they're very strict when it comes to attendance, so I couldn't miss any days. So what happened, I get pregnant in high school and I just drop out. And then I don't exactly recollect how it happened, but my mother was the one that told me that there was a special program for pregnant teenagers where I can go and complete my high school, my year, and then get my diploma. So I ended up going back to school with a big belly and, and trying to go around campus and just waddling my way everywhere. But it was an interesting experience because for a moment I thought I wasn't going to graduate. I did have to go to summer school because I was missing some of those credits that I missed at the beginning of that year. But yeah, I got my high school diploma, and then from there I wanted to go to a community college and just become a nurse. But one day I received a pamphlet from the community college I was attending, and it stated that there was a new program that they were going to be doing. It was the histologic technician program. It was a
It's still
2-year
logic.
program. Histologic, yeah. And it's a 2-year program, and it's an associate's degree, associates in science, and it was pretty much a branch of a lab technician. But in this case, we work in anatomic pathology, where we handle patient's tissue. So when a patient goes into the doctors, or they go to the hospital and get a biopsy done, the tissue, that biopsy comes to me. So what I do with the tissue, I preserve it, I process it, I cut it, and I put it in slides so doctors can see them under the microscope and make a diagnosis. And
Jeez Louise. Oh,
yeah.
oh, 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 oh my goodness
So
gracious. That's a lot. Wow. And
yeah.
I mean, come on. Like, you have to pat yourself on the back through what you wanted to do and what you got, because I'm just hearing that, because you know how life sometimes throws us curveballs, and
Mm-hmm.
we just gotta run. We have to run with what it gives us. But
Right.
you accomplished something that a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people. I mean, when someone gets pregnant at such an early age, and then you drop out your senior year, a lot of people get scared. And like you said, how you had the confidence and the belief that you can do this, that's really, really remarkable.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it wasn't easy, especially at that age, and you're still with that mindset of what are other people going to say about me? What are they going to think? And especially when you're on campus with a big belly and
I mean,
all
did
you can
anyone
think
try to give
about.
you a hard time?
No, no,
Good,
no.
good.
No, yeah, they weren't that bad. But yeah, you do think behind your head, you're like, oh, they're probably talking about me, or they're judging me. They think I'm this, or they think I'm easy, or whatever. but yeah, it wasn't easy. It wasn't. But here we are. It's doable. It's very much possible, and now we're here.
Were there any days at the time, did you ever thought about quitting?
Oh, many times, many times. Because there's so many factors, but of course, at the time, you don't. I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't have. I wasn't aware of what was going on, but a pregnant teenager, and I'm a Mexican American, or Chicana, and to top it off, I'm a woman, and it's not easy. It's not easy for women of color to be successful
Right.
or to become educated, because, and unfortunately, not unfortunately, because at the end of the day, I am learning, and as a matter of fact, I'm still doing school at the moment. I'm just trying to work on a few degrees online, and
Never stopping. I love that.
no, never, no, never, never. You never stop learning, and that's my motto. I've always there's always room to learn, and whatever it is, we will never be. Um, I don't think there's such thing as knowing everything and just being at that stage. There's always something you're gonna learn, regardless, whether it's in society, or politics, or art, or whatever it is. There's always room for knowledge. But yeah, at the time, it didn't dawn on me until now that I'm attempting to become a credible film critic, and I realize how difficult it is for women of color to get to these credible outlets, or to even be given the opportunity to apply to these places. But at the time, I didn't realize it, and of course, it has a lot to do with systemic racism, and everything that's been pretty much planned out. It's no coincidence that a lot of these barrios, or a lot of these smaller neighborhoods, poor neighborhoods, and that are low in education and testing and all that, they're full of minority groups. There's a reason for that. And I didn't realize none of that until just recently, and I feel ashamed for being so ignorant for so long. But at the same time, I'm glad that I'm learning a lot about why it was so tough to get where I'm trying to go. And yeah, it's mind-boggling.
Why do you think so many people have this, I say, stigma, or just
Yeah.
an idea? Yeah, see, there you go. On just people who come from, I say, from like the rural parts of so many places, and they just think just because you're born in, let's just, East LA, or you're born in the Bronx, and you're trying to do a
Mm-hmm.
certain career, but they think that you can't do this. Like, do you know who you are?
Yeah. I've been learning a little bit about all of this, and a lot has to do with film. A lot
As
has
it
to do with
always.
television. A lot has to do with the media. The media has so much influence, and they certainly know how to mold our brains, and how to ingrain those stereotypes into our heads, to the point where people already have a notion of who we are and what we're capable of, just because of the color of our skin, or because of our where we're from. Just like you said, if it's unfortunately, it's not rare when I tell people, yeah, I'm a Chicana from East LA. And the first thing that comes out of their mouth is, oh, are you a gang member?
Yeah, I
Or,
thought so. Yeah.
oh, hey, well, Simone esa, or orale, or just talking, and what they normally see portrayed in films or television or even the media. So, yeah, a lot has to do with the media and the film and television, as well as books, history, textbooks, that unfortunately have erased a lot of minority history, and they purposely do that. And this is just me speaking perhaps a bit more radically, but
You're not wrong though. Like there are a lot of you're not everything you're saying is the truth. Cause there's a oh man, like there's so much things. Even like just this year alone, there's so many things that I learned about
Yes.
Black culture that I never learned in high school. I never learned and heard about in college. And then when you hear about it, you think, man, they never even talked about this. Like
No.
you only talk about things that you want to say to us, and
Exactly.
that's scary. You know, for a Chicana and as an African American, you know, there's so much systemic racism and just things
Yes.
that you know, people, even young kids should learn about, even if it's difficult, because sometimes the hardest things to talk about are the best things to talk about.
Yes. And yeah, it's no coincidence. It's no coincidence that in high school, we don't know any of this. Why? I mean, this is just me perhaps throwing conspiracy theories out there, but first of all, we're minorities.
That's true.
And second of all, high school is the perfect age to, with all the respect, to brainwash you, and perhaps the perfect age to recruit you. You would probably think twice to recruit to any military branch if you knew your real history, if you knew what the country has done historically to marginalized groups. Me personally, I've been very vocal about this and I have no shame, but I don't mind my daughters doing whatever they wish with their lives. I'm not going to choose what career they go to. The only thing I am really, really, really opposed to is them getting into the military. And I know I may be making a very controversial statement,
That's
but
not controversial at all. Not even close. My mother said the same exact thing, and I agree with her.
yes, me too. Um, because to get into the military and fight for a country that gives zero shits about you is not the right path, in my opinion. They're not the right way to go. So I think there's a lot of contributing factors as to why we don't learn any of this in high school. And I'm 33 years old. I don't mind saying my 30 years of age, I have to take a Chicano studies course to learn about my own damn history, because high school never taught me any of this. I just learned recently about the Suit riots that happened back in the 40s and that happened probably 15 miles where I'm currently sitting. And I was never taught any of this for a reason. So yeah, it's unfortunate that I have to get a higher degree to learn about my own history, because it's, and all of that, of course, it intertwines with film and everything I've been trying to learn and everything I've been advocating for. And
But you see, like even with all that, and I keep bringing this
yeah.
back, you know, and of everything too, of what people would think about you and everything that you're
Mm-hmm.
learning for yourself to be better, you will again keep showing, even to your daughters, you keep showing them that nothing's impossible. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what people will try to throw at you or what the system may try to stop you.
Yes.
You still can do, you can accomplish anything you want, more than one thing. And it's clearly how you've done. Right now, I'm talking with Rosa Para, aka Rosa Reviews. And just to continue with what I just said, because you kept bringing it up, and I wanted to save it for a little bit, so, but I think it's a perfect time let's just dive on in on it. Your love for film, all right? So
Yeah.
it's like, again, you're from East LA, born and raised, and
Mm-hmm.
you love some good film, you know? So where did all that come from?
It's funny because in a sense that this is something new to me. It's something that started no more than 4 or 5 years ago. I'm relatively new in the film critics or reviewer circle.
So you call yourself a
And
critic. You fully call yourself a critic.
I say I'm a film reviewer because I don't think I'm actually, that's one of the degrees I'm working on. I'm working on film and media studies. I think it's gonna be a little bit before I say I'm a critic. just because I don't think I have the foundation built yet.
I
I
mean,
don't
come on, you
have
got
the
all these
knowledge.
associations right here. I mean, come on, what else? What else can I call you? I'm gonna call you a critic, even if you don't want me to. I'll call you that.
Thank you. um, but yeah, I think there's still that little doubt in me, because there's several factors when it comes to film. I just started watching films like regularly and religiously, um just recently, like 4 or 5 years ago. So I was always listening when I go to work, because my primary job is electron microscopy. That's what I do. I'm a scientist full time, and the criticism, the film scientist.
Scientist, see, that's awesome.
And I do criticism in film and all that on the side. It's more of a not hobby. Yeah, no, it's just something I love to do. Um, but it's on the side. I don't do it full time, and I don't get paid or anything like that for it. So I remember just watching these YouTube channels talking about films. I would always watch Collider.
Yeah, okay,
and
there you
and
go.
yeah, and I would always, back in the day when they had movie talk, and it would come out in the mornings, and I would just watch that every day. And it caught my attention how they were just very engrossed, and they were so passionate about film. And then eventually every day they would be talking about movies and about what was going to be coming out that week, or they'd be talking about possible casting for future films, or their thoughts on trailers, and so on and so forth. And that was just captivating, and it caught my attention. So eventually I started to go to the movie theater every weekend. Luckily I'm able to afford it because of my job. It's not easy to be in a, unless you, of course, you're working full time for it, but other than that, it's not easy to be a reviewer or a critic.
Especially
And
how much theaters cost, popcorns, tickets.
yes,
Ooh.
yeah, it's not easy. Yeah, it's pretty expensive. And of course I'm in LA, so top that off.
I know because I'm in
um
New York, so I understand exactly how you
yeah,
feel.
yeah, exactly. You're probably a bit more pricier than me, but we're right behind you
Oh,
guys.
oh, don't get me started.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, I start going every week, every weekend, and I start catching up with newly released films. So now that I'm watching Collider Movie Talk, I am more caught on to what they're talking about, and they're doing these reviews. I'm like, yeah, that's really interesting, and so on and so forth. So eventually one of my friends, a really close friend of mine, she gave me the idea to just give my thoughts on certain films and whether I'd recommend people to go watch them or not. She's like, you're not gonna lose anything. All you're gonna do is just tell people if they should waste their hard-earned money on the movie or not.
Was that scary for you at first? You know, just when you wanted to start writing, reviews. Because
Oh
how that
yes.
of being like, oh, like, will anyone listen to me? Who wants to hear me
Yeah.
talk about a movie?
Yeah. Oh yes, absolutely. I'm still scared. Yeah, that it's still there. But it just started with Instagram. I just opened an Instagram page, and that's where I started Instagram. And slowly but surely, I just started posting the picture of the movie, 1 or 2 sentences on my thoughts, and it was just me talking about the movie. I didn't have any knowledge at the time about the filmmaking aspect of it, or the editing, the cinematography, the acting, or anything like that, the script. It was more of just fun. I was just looking at it as a just regular movie going audience. So eventually they suggested, well, you should just have a page and a blog and just write your reviews and just share them. But it was difficult because my writing isn't the best. I have so much insecurities when it comes to my writing. First of all, because it's not my primary language. Even as I speak it, I know I have a little accent, or I have difficulties pronouncing some words, and it's frightening. It's frightening to write in a language that isn't the first one you're so used to, and a language that you're not really that you haven't pretty much, and I'm still scared every time I write a review and even talk in interviews, or even when I go guest spot in podcasts asking me about movies and reviews and such. It's still frightening because I do get a little self-conscious, and I know that I mispronounce certain words, or that my sentences sometimes don't make sense, because I'm writing perhaps with my mind in Spanish, and then trying to translate that into English. It's a bit
I can imagine.
difficult.
I mean, I can't
Yeah.
imagine. I can't imagine because I don't. So I'm not gonna pretend like I do know. But just
Yeah.
hearing you talk about it, that does sound a lot. Like, man, that sounds so much.
Yeah, and
So then, how do you get the confidence though? Like, how do you push through? Even when you saying even to this day, you say you get scared, you get nervous. But how do you
yeah.
push yourself through it though? To say, no, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it because I love doing this.
Yeah, I think my motivation, of course, is representing the associations I'm a member of. In addition to my daughters. My daughters are my engine pretty much. They are the reason I do everything I do. And everybody asks, how do I do everything? And I just go out there and do it. I don't have a secret or a formula or anything of a kind that I can give as an advice or anything. I just do it. And I've come so accustomed, and this is all thanks to being a mother and my motherhood. I'm able to function like on 3 to 4 hours sleep
3 to 4
every day.
hours. Oh my god.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
I don't know. I don't know if you're
So
human,
that
Rosa.
gives
I
me
don't
more
know.
time. It gives me more time out the day. I can do more.
So then, when was the moment when you realized with yourself, start on Instagram, start your
Mm-hmm.
own blog?
Yeah.
When was that the day when you finally said, I can do this? I can really
Mm-hmm.
do this. When did that spark happen?
Yeah. Well, it was when. That's a really good question, because until this day, I still have some doubts. Not as much as I did when I first started, but the doubt, it's still there. I like to say it was the day when I was accepted to one of those memberships. It was the Online Association of Female Film Critics. It was the first association to accept me.
Okay.
Um,
And
I
I bet
just
you were so excited, I bet.
Oh yes, I cried myself to sleep that night. I was so
That's so
happy.
great.
I was so happy. I never thought in a million years that they would accept me, and it was at that moment that I decided, if I'm gonna take this serious and I'm gonna be, if I want to accomplish more and I want to get further within the field, I have to get an education on film, because I haven't been doing this for a long time. And in a sense, I guess in my head, I didn't think it was going to be fair to go out there and put out reviews and, in a way, go be amongst such talented film critics that have been on it for years and decades, and know their knowledge on, they're like hardcore cinephiles. I would look like a little like chihuahua next to a Rottweiler. And that's when I decided, you know what, you're going to take this serious. You need to get yourself educated on this, learn film history, learn where all of this came about, and also the filmmaking techniques of it. So now I'm watching films with a whole completely different lens, where I was watching it probably 4 or 5 years ago just as a regular movie going audience. And I think the movie that perhaps gave me that little push to do my website and to continue doing this was Wonder Woman back in
Oh,
2017.
really?
Yeah, because everybody was so hyped about it. Everybody was so excited, and I didn't understand why. I didn't understand what was the whole hype about, until I learned that Wonder Woman was the first ever female-led action, live action superhero movie that
Yes.
was directed by a woman. That gave it more of a push. and you were going to be watching the superhero through a female lens. So the female lens, and then just learning all these little facts and how women weren't really represented in film and as well as behind the camera. I was like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure this should directly reflect to film critics. And sure enough, 70% of film critics are white men. So
That's true.
yeah, so I was like, okay, you know what? If you want to take this serious, we're already in school. Let's just go ahead and do this. And let's try to leave, like pitch in my own 2 cents and see what we can do in regards to representation. At the time, it was just representation of women. And just lately, just a few months ago, that's when the Latinx aspect of it came into mind, because I couldn't find any other Latina film critic out there, or Latinos. It was quite difficult.
Is that why? Because especially on social media, you are so, I would say you're so proud of your culture. Oh, yeah. And is that the reason why whenever you want to speak about representation of the Latinx community and in the film industry as a whole, is that why you're so like dead set of pushing the pride of your culture?
Yeah, absolutely. And at the moment, I am working on my Chicana Studies degree, on my film and media studies degree, and then I'm doing another biology degree on the side.
See, like you see right there, like Rosa, when do you sleep? Like, I don't think you even have a bed in your room. Like, I think it just go.
I know, I just sit in the car. I sleep in the parking lot of my job. And I do it because if I want to be an advocate for representation, and I'm not just doing it for the fellow community, I'm also doing it for my daughters. I want them to know that their skin color, that their gender, it's not going to be used against them whenever they go out to the world and whenever they want to go and accomplish something. I want them to know that they can dream and dream big, without them saying, well, I'm a girl, I can't do this, or oh, I'm brown, I can't do this either. No. Yes, you can. Unfortunately, we'll probably have to work a little bit harder for it, but you can do it. So
if mama can do it, you can do it.
Oh yes, absolutely. But yeah, I'm very proud. I'm very proud of being a Chicana, of my background, and I'm also aware that whatever little representation we've had in film, it's been the representation of me, of the Mexican American community, of the Chicano from East LA. And unfortunately, also, it's very unfortunate that they use the term Latino or Hispanic, depending on who we're referring to. They use it as an umbrella term to describe such a rich and diverse group of people that are from the Caribbean, that are US born, that are from Mexico, from Central America, from South America. And not many people understand that. Not that many people grasp that concept, that when you say Latino, you can mean from anywhere, like geographically speaking. And sadly, it's come to the point when you say Latino or Hispanic, your first thought is a Mexican or Mexican American. And that's also something I'm trying to not educate, but trying to spread awareness. Because
that's fair. That's completely fair, because yeah. I can't lie to you that even though I have friends who are from El Salvador, Dominican, Puerto Rican, and Mexican, I always say Hispanic, but right. Learning from my friends, learn more about their culture, learn more about the right things to say and what not to say. That's how you learn, because right. if you don't, how are you going to fix yourself to be better?
Exactly.
I'm speaking with Rosa Power, aka RosaReviews. If you're interested to learn more about her, or you just want to see some of her work, go on and check her website at RosaReviews.net and follow her on Twitter at RosaReviews. And don't forget to check out her podcast, Latinx Lens. That's Latinx Lens. Available on Spotify.
I'm just telling you guys, like, this conversation that we're having right now, this is so insightful. If there's anything you can take out of this about Rosa, I can just tell you right now that it's about grit. It's about determination and about just never quitting. And it's amazing. Just sitting here talking with her, I'm learning so much about her. And also, I'm just inspired by her. And just going with that, just to continue on with what we just been going with about you, and about your culture. What do you hope I'm going to call you what I see you, as I see you, as a film critic, for yourself in this bubble that you're in now, in this world. What do you hope to see change not only as a female, but also as a Latinx?
Yeah. In film or just in
film and as a whole?
As a whole. Okay. As a whole, I think it's the same thing for both. I'm sorry.
That's okay. This is what it's all about. Go ahead.
Yeah. As a whole, my hope, and I know this is a really huge, tremendous dream, is that I will no longer have these type of conversations because everybody else will be educated, because everybody else will see a Latino in film, or they can see a Latino in television, or they can learn about Latinos in their history books, and it would be more of a norm. Which is why I'm a big advocate for, and it's unfortunate that Robert Rodriguez, the director, isn't given enough credit for what he's done for the community when it comes to film, because even just talking about Spy Kids, and I know I'm going a little bit off tangent here, but my point is, in that film, those little kids in the family, yes, they're Latinos, but you don't know where from. And then it's not really thrown at you or shoved into your face as much. It's just normal. It's who they are. And I think that's my hope for films to depict our experiences as the norm. And our experiences are they can be universal too. A lot of other ethnicities and groups can identify with our own experience. And so, yeah, I think my ultimate hope is to see myself on screen, either as a woman or as a Chicana or as a Latina, and for it not to be breaking news, because it'll just be the norm.
Exactly. And I 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But also too, because it's also this whole thing. It's also about you. Critics wish and dream you to go there. And I remember, you probably don't know this. I remember you can on Twitter for now, as you're growing, as you're still in school, you're still trying to educate yourself to be a better critic. And you can also stop people that yourself and to look in the mirror and be like, they were so ecstatic. I've done so much for you, and you started your own. You've been on podcasts. You're part of associations. You went to Sundance. Are you kidding me? You went to Sundance.
Yeah. Yes. I can testify that unfortunately film Twitter has gotten a bad rep.
I've seen it.
Rightfully so. But you know what? The people that I've had the honor and the privilege to socialize with, either on social media, especially on film Twitter, they have been so supportive, and a lot of what I've been able to do, I owe it to them, because they've been just very, very supportive. And Sundance, when I got that email, I applied to Sundance, not I was not expecting. I was never expecting to get accepted.
It was just a shot in the dark.
Just applying. Yeah, I was just like, you know what? Let's do this. First film festival. What the heck? Just apply for it. Yeah, I get the email, and man, I will never forget it. It was just mind-boggling when I got the email, and then I shared it, and everybody else was so happy, and I just added to my excitement another a whole different layer. But yeah, my first film festival ever. It was Sundance.
Was it everything you thought it'd be?
Yes, it was more. I couldn't have imagined anything like it, and I was very fortunate. It was earlier this year, which seems like decades ago, um, but it was amazing. It was an unforgettable, exciting, and an experience that I could not have ever imagined. Yet I am so glad I was able to experience it, because even though I was so happy to go and watch these films and get watch these films before anybody else, I think what I took away from it was the networking of it, and actually being able to meet some of the people that I interact with on social media on a daily basis, and to actually have them in front of me and face to face, and we're able to have just conversations. And Sundance, it's of course, I'm pretty sure it's the same for all film festivals, but when you go to a film festival and you have such a passion for film, and everywhere you go, wherever you walk, you just have people talking about movies, it's like you're in heaven. It's the best case scenario, and it's just, oh my God, I was like a little kid in the candy store. I was just loving it and just trying to absorb every moment of it. And my only complaint was the weather, because I'm a Cali girl, and it was in Utah, so it's freezing up there. Yeah.
I imagine
other
that.
than
I'd be the
that,
same way.
I loved it. Yeah.
Now,
but yeah, it's man, amazing.
How do your daughters feel about this about you? Like just being a film critic. Like, are they like, oh, mom, this is so cool? Or are they just like, oh, yeah, my mom does film stuff. Whatever.
They're very excited, and surprisingly, well, to me, it's surprising. They're very supportive.
Nice.
In a sense that they understand. Like for example, well, not this perhaps the worst case scenario, because my little one just came and asked me something, but for the most part, especially my older one, and my older one, the one I had in high school, now she's 15, she's very understanding and very helpful. And whenever, because I'm doing school and everything, now they're starting school too, so we'll do homework together whenever I need to get some reading done.
I like that.
She'll be like, well, I'll take them to the room, just get your stuff done. And they're just very, it's kind of hard to believe, but my kids are so amazing. And I know every mother says that, but I've been more than blessed and lucky to have such wonderful kids. Yeah, they're very excited about it. They just tell everybody that. They tell everybody I make movies, but I don't. I don't. I just review them. Ultimately, though, I think that's one of my goals in a few years.
Oh.
Yeah.
Rosa, the director? I ain't mad at that. I ain't mad at that at all.
Oh yes.
Look, whenever that gets debuted, please don't forget about me. Send me that ticket. I'll be there in the first row for you. I promise.
Oh, it's very kind of you. Thank you. I'll probably be the only one there, but thank you.
I'll be and maybe the only one, but I'll be the loudest one around, because I'm gonna love every bit of it.
Oh, it's very kind.
I'm speaking with RosaReviews, aka Rosa Para, and this has been a great conversation we've been having. Just to know about her journey, where she's been and what she's accomplished so far in her life. And it's just been a great, great talk. And Rosa, I just want to say first, I've enjoyed every bit of our conversation. This has been, and I hope you as well has enjoyed just bragging about yourself.
That's what I do best.
But
no, I've been having a blast. Thank you.
But before we bid farewell, I always love to give my guests this spot right here. This is the shout out time. This is when we give love and thanks to the people who've lifted us up and who brought us to places where we thought we couldn't be and never gave up on us. So the floor is yours. Whoever you want to, give them love.
Oh my God. Do I have a limit? Because we can be here for hours.
just go on, boy. I ain't gonna stop you.
Oh wow. I think in my case, the person I owe everything, of course, my mother, who sadly passed away a few years ago. But yeah, she was my everything. In the sense that whatever idea or whatever a dream I had, she just encouraged me. And I think I am where I'm at. I'm sorry, I'm over here crying. I am where I'm at because she always believed in me. And she always said that if I was gonna do something, to always give it my all, not to halfway work halfway through or anything like that, to always give 100% to everything I set my mind to. And it's worked. It's getting me somewhere. And I think she's perhaps the biggest one of all. Of course, as I'm her only child, so I was very spoiled. So that's why I'm so good at bragging about myself. That's all I know. So yeah, my mother is amazing, and she is the reason why I am where I am. And without her, none of this is possible at all. She supported me during my high school years. She took care of my kids when I needed to go out and school, work. She was always there. So of course, my mother is always my number one. And then my kids, of course, they are very supportive. Even as I was just mentioning earlier, they give me my space, even though they rather sacrifice time with them to let me learn and grow than for them to spend time with me. And I know it's I don't know, maybe I know a lot of people might think it's bad parenting or something, but it's hard. It's not easy. It's not easy being a parent. There's no manual for it.
That's the truth, 100%.
Yeah, and and then I guess ultimately, when it comes to film, one of my friend Zania, she's the one that suggested for me to start my Instagram page, and then a few months later suggested to have my own web page. And then from there, it just continued to grow. The viewership continued to grow, and then a really good friend of mine now, by the name of Colby, Colby Mack. He messaged me through one of my reviews. He left a comment saying that he appreciated my perspective, and that it was rare to have the perspective of a woman of color. So then he introduced me to Film Twitter, and from there it's just been growing and growing and growing. Matt Neglia, the founder of Next Best Picture podcast and webpage, he was the first person ever to invite me to a podcast to review a movie, which was Late Night from 2018. And I will always be grateful to him because he asked me to be a guest in his podcast, someone who had zero experience with podcasting, with being a guest, and someone who was still building her foundation with film criticism and still learning, yet he still risked it and asked me to be on his podcast. And right now we're still good friends, and he's one of my biggest supporters with Latinx Lens. That's and tough. Then ultimately, he was, I will always, he knows. I was very lucky to have met him at Sundance, and I just thanked him in person, and I was just very grateful for everything he's done for me. And right now, there's two more people, Bianca Garner, who allowed me to be her assistant editor for In Their Own League. So In Their Own League is a podcast and website that's dedicated to women representation in the film industry. So we talk about female filmmakers or actresses or even cinematographers or producers, and we try to shine a light on them and talk about their films and give them the attention that they so eagerly deserve. And she was the one that gave me a true platform. Because of that website, I was able to get into Sundance. Because of her website, I've been able to get into other festivals after Sundance. So to her, I also owe her so much for believing in me and for just giving me the opportunity, because at majority of these times, a lot of these times, that's what I'm advocating for. Just give us a shot, give us an opportunity, and just let us work hard. And they did that for me. What was Matt Neglia and Bianca, they did it. And now my co-host Catherine Gonzalez, who is my co-host and co-founder of Latinx Lens, which came to be because I'm taking a film class right now. Working on my degree. At the time, I was taking a film class called Race and Gender in American Film. And week 4, we were going to learn about Latinos and Hispanic representation contributions to the film industry, as well as Native Americans and Asian Americans. So I'm excited, and I'm really eager to read my textbook and learn about what my community has contributed to the film industry. So we have this textbook, 500 pages, only to realize that there's only a page and a half on Latinos and what we've done for the industry in both film and television.
I'm
so
shaking my head.
Yeah, so they really want to erase our history, even in film history.
Jeez Louise.
So that's where Latinx Lens came to be. I posted out a tweet and I asked if anybody be interested in listening. So the initial plan was for me to just be blabbing about, because I'm very good at blabbing, about our representation and just shine a light and give the platform to people like Edward James Olmos, Robert Rodriguez, Rita Moreno, all these people who have paved the way to Latinos now, although unfortunately there's not many of us, but those who are right now, they are where they are because of people like Rita Moreno, because of people like from back in the silent era, like Dolores del Rio, Pedro Armendáriz, who people don't have no idea who they are. And I've taken that responsibility to, I know I don't have the credentials to teach people. I'm not a professor or any kind, but I do my research and I try my best to just spread the word and spread awareness of what Latinos and Hispanics have really done, what we really contribute to film and television, because apparently we're not learning it in film school either. So I guess we have to take matters in our own hands and try to do something about it. But we also review films. Anyways, so I'm sorry, I went off tangent there. So yes, I posted that tweet, and then Catherine replied saying that she's been wanting to do something like that, and that if she can join me and we can both do this. And then I've been so overwhelmed with gratitude, and couldn't be more grateful for all the support that Latinx Lens has been receiving lately. We weren't expecting this much support. We were just expecting, I don't know, our relatives to listen to the podcast. We were never expecting to have such support. So I'm glad we're trying to do something here, and I'm glad people want it. I'm glad people are actually tuning in to learn a little bit about. We've just done a few episodes. I think we're going on episode 9, but we've talked about Edward James Olmos. We've talked about Robert Rodriguez. We just did one on Rita Moreno. So, but we also review films. And I think that's another aspect we want to implement with Latinx Lens, to give women of color a chance to review films. and there aren't any other platforms out there doing it, so we had to create our own platform, and that's what we're doing. So Catherine Gonzalez, my partner in crime, she's my ride or die, and man, I owe her a lot, because she's a woman of many hats. That she edits the podcast, and she posts it, and she's more tech savvy than I am. So um without her, I probably Latin excellence would not be anywhere near to where it is now. So yeah, I think those are only a few of the people I can think of.
I love that. That it's never bad to show the people that we love that, hey, I love you even more. So that's awesome. But also too, I just wanted to throw this at you. If you can go back in time and tell that 16-year-old Rosa who's pregnant, who is questioning what the future was going to hold for her, especially soon too when she's going to be dropping out of high school. Yeah. What would you tell her for everything you've done right now? What would you tell her just to keep her head up?
To keep her head up. I would tell her to continue her education. Having education and knowledge is true. It is power, and don't ever give up. I wouldn't change anything because thanks to everything I've experienced, I am where I'm at right now. But I tell her to never give up. Just continue doing what you're doing. Education, educate. Just learn as much as you can, and don't take too seriously. I don't think I can find the word, but don't take the media, and don't take film, and don't take television to heart, because unfortunately it's not the accurate representation of our community.
And last but not least, for the people who grew up in East LA just like you.
Yes.
And just in growing up and feeling that either there's no way out, or people will only think of me as a thug, as a drug dealer, or just think I'm worthless. What would you tell them, as so much of you've done in your life, and you just broke that mold, telling them I'm way more than what you think I am? Yeah. What would you tell any young Latinx girl or boy to keep them motivated and confident in themselves?
I would tell them to stay in school. I would tell them to take any extracurricular activity available. And I will tell them that if I can be an example, so be it. I was also in their shoes, and I was able to get out there. I was able to get out of there, and now I'm very much enjoying everything I'm doing. But I would also tell them that I'm not the only one that was born and raised in East LA that's gotten out of there. Ever James Olmos is from East LA. Constance Marie is from East LA. Oscar de la Hoya is from East LA. Perhaps not the best example at the moment, but he was able to do something in boxing, and so many others that have come from East LA and have made something out of have made a career out of their lives. So, and I will also, I would have them watch nonstop Stand and Deliver. That film was perhaps the game-changing film for me, to see myself on screen represented as a smart woman, as a smart high school student, and to showcase that no matter where we come from, we can still learn calculus. No matter where we come from, we still have the capacity to pass the calculus AP exam in high school. And yeah, I would tell them to watch Stand and Deliver at least once a week.
Once a week.
Once a week. That's perhaps the film I've seen the most. and it helped me a whole lot. So I'm pretty sure it can help more people.
And you know what? That is a full-on true fact. My name is Ronald E. Smith. This is Rosa Para, aka Rosa Reviews. And y'all, I think we just got one. Thank you very much. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you.